Hello and welcome. I'm Melinda Kinlami. Tonight, President Buhari challenges member countries of the Lake Chad Basin Commission on the fight against insurgency, says it's time to eliminate Boko Haram from the sub-region. Army lifts suspension on UNICEF operations in northeast Nigeria as 19 of the 23 officers killed in Metele, Borno State are laid to rest. Former governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke, reacts to court judgment nullifying his emergence as SDP presidential flag bearer, vows to uphold mandate. And at least 21 people killed and 61 others injured following violence in southern Ethiopia as hundreds flee across the border into Kenya.
And on business news tonight, Nigerian Stock Exchange announces migration of real estate investment trust schemes from main board to equities from December the 17th.
And on sports news tonight, Commonwealth Games gold medalist Tobiloba Amusan sets new National Sports Festival record in the 100 meters hurdles with time of 13.06 seconds.
We begin with the declaration by the President that the time has come for the complete wiping off of Boko Haram from the entire Lake Chad Basin area. President Muhammadu Buhari said this during an extraordinary meeting of the heads of state and government of the Lake Chad Basin Commission in Abuja, where they renewed their commitment to put an end to the insurgency. This formed part of an 8-point communique agreed to and signed by the President and other leaders of the sub-region. Our State House correspondent, Ibrahim Adra, has the rest of the story.
Nigeria and its neighbors have borne the brunt of the Boko Haram insurgency for close to a decade. The Nigerian military has fought hard to tame the menace until the recent resurgence, the latest of which is the Metele attacks, which left many soldiers dead. On the heels of the attack, President Muhammadu Buhari called for a meeting of the leaders of the region in Chad Republic. One of the outcomes of the N'Djamena meeting is the setting up of a Defense and Security Committee. That committee turned in its report at this extraordinary meeting in Abuja. In attendance are the presidents of Chad, Niger, and the Prime Minister of Cameroon, amongst others.
Today's meeting,
President Buhari, who is the chairman of the Lake Chad Basin Commission, says it is a continuation of their joint effort to overhaul strategies towards stabilizing the region.
the time has come for the evil of Boko Haram to be brought to a definitive end. I am sure that this summit will take the right decisions in this regard. This is a fight to the finish. We must and we will, by the grace of God, wipe out terrorism from our sub-region. Our military strategy must be complemented by the mobilization and deployment of adequate resources to ensure the reconstruction, rehabilitation, and rebuilding of civil authority, as well as the provision of relief and succor for the affected.
The meeting considers the report and its recommendation. After about 3 hours of deliberation, a communique was read.
The heads of state and government renewed their commitment to the fight against Boko Haram terrorists with a view to bringing a definitive end to the insurgency. Reaffirmed their commitment to the accelerated implementation of the regional stabilization strategy in the areas of Lake Chad affected by the Boko Haram crisis, which was recently endorsed by the African Union Peace and Security Council.
The heads of state and government once again appealed to the international community to support their efforts in the fight against terrorism in the region. From Abuja, Ibrahim Adra, reporting for Channels Television News.
Staying with security matters, suspected Boko Haram insurgents are said to have sacked Gudumbali, the local government headquarters of Guzalamala local government area of Borno State. According to a distress message sent to our correspondent, 5 gun trucks allegedly belonging to the army, ammunition and other food items are said to have been carted away. Some of the dislodged soldiers are said to be taking refuge in a nearby military location at Damasak, now on red alert for the rampaging insurgents. Many are feared dead in the attack which occurred yesterday. Gudumbali is home to nearly 3,000 persons relocated by the Theatre Command and the state government in June this year after 4 years of displacement in Maiduguri. But the city first came under severe attack in September when the town was sacked, a development that compelled the Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs to rush to Maiduguri for a strategic meeting. The army is yet to respond to this latest incident. In the meantime, the Nigerian Army has been explaining the dismantling of military checkpoints in the northeast, saying it's purely an operational basis and part of its counterinsurgency strategy. This revelation was made by the General Officer Commanding 3 Division of the Nigerian Army in Plateau State, Major General Nuhu Agbanzo, while on a visit to military formations under his watch in Adamawa State. He also allayed the fears and apprehension of the people over the removal of the checkpoints.
General Officer Commanding 3 Division of the Nigerian Army, Major General Nuhu Agbanzo, is in Adamawa State for a familiarization tour of military formations under his command. But first, he inspects the Guard of Honor. His next point of call is Mubi, a major commercial town in the state liberated from Boko Haram by the military about 3 years ago. Major General Agbanzo holds a closed-door meeting with the troops and thereafter explains the outcome of the discussion.
There's a new concept of operation which the Chief of Army Staff has directed, which has to do with the establishment of what we call super camp. It is part of the counterinsurgency operation that is ongoing, and the Army headquarters has conceptualized that concept, which does not require us having roadblocks. And then, of course, as the elections are coming around, we are going to ensure that we give a proper security environment in which everybody will be able to exercise his rights.
The Adamawa State Governor also receives the GOC and appreciates the Army and the federal government for restoring peace in the northeast.
The security situation is very stable here, and things are calm. Courtesy to the commitment of our President Muhammadu Buhari, who is highly committed in fighting the insurgency. We are very happy to report to you that things are okay, and the military are doing its best to make sure that we don't have much problem.
We are here to ensure that we present the best enabling environment for the civil society, for the civil authority to be able to carry out developmental projects for themselves.
The military continues with the responsibility of ensuring that peace returns to the northern part of the country. The citizens also expect that security presence is more visible to enable them to carry on with daily activities without fear of attacks.
To ease attention in the northeast, the Theatre Command has lifted the 3-month suspension earlier imposed on UNICEF activities. This was decided after extensive deliberations on the need to seek modalities to work with security agencies in the theatre of operation. Sequel to the intervention by concerned Nigerians over the suspension of UNICEF operations in the northeast, the theatre commander, Operation Lafia Adole, convened and held an emergency meeting with the UNICEF team. During the meeting, he admonished them to desist from activities capable of undermining the ongoing fight against terrorism and insurgency. The command also asked them to ensure they share information with relevant authorities whenever induction or training of new staff is being conducted in the theatre. The bodies of 19 out of 23 soldiers killed following an attack by Boko Haram on November the 18th have been laid to rest. Their remains were recovered from Metele, Abanda local government area in Borno State. The solemn ceremony took place at the military cemetery in Maiduguri, the state capital.
The remains of 19 out of the 23 soldiers killed in what has come to be known as the Metele massacre make their final journey home. Emotions filled the air as families, friends and colleagues gathered to pay their last respects at the military cemetery of the Metele cantonment in Maiduguri, Borno State. Metele was recaptured from the Boko Haram insurgents in 2017 and immediately occupied by the army. Clearance operations continued while the civilian population of the area remained displaced. Although the Nigerian army is shaken by the setback, they say they are determined to eliminate all threats to the nation's territorial integrity.
It is a common knowledge that the Boko Haram terrorists have continued with the wanton destruction of lives and property to undermine the national security of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is also worrying to note that our gallant troops are determined to defend the territorial integrity of the nation.
The Chief of Training and Operations cautions against spreading of fake news capable of undermining the efforts of the troops.
We would like to call on all Nigerians to view the fight against terrorism and insurgency as a collective responsibility in which we all are stakeholders. We further implore them to support and encourage our troops as they courageously discharge their onerous duties. We should eschew negative comments, fake and non-substantiated stories that tend to demoralize the troops.
For the Borno State government, more support shall be given to the grieving families.
Well, the state government will continue to support the army to fight against insurgency and also to support the families who have sacrificed their life for this insurgency.
The ceremony reaches its climax when the bodies are finally laid to rest. 4 of the deceased soldiers are yet to be buried, as their family members are yet to turn up and are still being awaited.
From security, let's talk politics now. The opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, has criticized the statement credited to the president by the governor of Zamfara State, Abdulaziz Yari, to the effect that Nigeria's economy remains in a bad shape. The governor was briefing State House correspondents after a meeting between President Muhammadu Buhari and state governors yesterday. He said the president blamed the nation's current economic situation on the opposition PDP, which left the country's infrastructure in limbo for 16 years. But in a statement, the PDP describes the declaration attributed to the president, urging Nigerians to tighten their belts, as shocking. The PDP adds, and I quote, "Our party therefore calls on the Nigerian people to look forward to the coming year with great hope and expectations for better days ahead as they rally behind our candidate Atiku Abubakar with his practical solutions to our nation's problems." End of quote. It says Nigerians have suffered enough in the last 3.5 years. Asking them to suffer for another 4 years is to ask too much from a people. In part 2, after the break, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike seeks inclusion of police, other security operatives, as well as INEC and the peace accord signing. That's in a moment. Join us again.